I think it's very important to just, as a human being, desire to live for something. Think legacy, think beyond
Think
yourself.
legacy. Hello, audience. Welcome back again to Makamba Unfiltered Conversations, where we strip away the gloss, talk about real journeys, and the raw lessons and the truths behind success. Today, we are diving into a topic that is at the heart of entrepreneurship. Yes, you heard me, entrepreneurship. The mindset it takes not just to start, but to keep it starting, to scale a business, face the setbacks, and at the same time find the courage to begin all over again. It is one thing to dream about launching a venture, it's another to live the life of a serial entrepreneur and a life that requires resilience, creativity, grit, and the ability to see failure not as a full stop, but as fuel for the next chapter. I remain your host, Enobong, and joining me today is a man that I had to struggle to get. I had to do a lot of work to get him to come on the Makamba podcast because he's one entrepreneur that I admire, and very recently was joined the dollar, not naira, dollar millionaires club, where he was honored by the one and only Bill Winston. And it was someone I knew I needed to bring on the Makamba podcast because here we talk unfiltered conversations. He's someone who embodies exactly what we want to talk about today: the serial entrepreneur's mindset, starting, scaling, and starting again. He has built, he has scaled, and rebuilt ventures, and carries the kind of wisdom that only comes from working the path again and again and again. So get ready. We're about to go deep into this topic today. But just before we do that, I would like to read a short bio of my guest today because I'm not going to just allow him just go like that. I have to read this bio. When we bring a great entrepreneur to the set of Makamba podcast, it is important that we introduce him in the capacity which he sits. Mr. Odunmolorun Osineye is the co-founder of Clip Technologies. I hope I got that right. A fintech company building blockchain power, payment, and treasury infrastructure for businesses across Africa. Under his leadership, Clip processes millions in monthly transactions. So when I tell you millions, please stop thinking naira. We always have a habit of thinking naira. When I'm talking millions, please let the dollar sign just be clinging in your ear. And has formed key partnerships with major payment players. Before Clip, he was the founding team at My Stash Technologies, where he helped grow the platform from under 50 users to over 30,000 users in 6 months. In 6 months. I mean, I need a round of applause if there was any on the podcast. Achieving an exit in less than 2 years. 50 users to 30,000 in 6 months, and then an exit in 2 years. I mean, what other word can we say is success? If this is not success, then what is? He also served as the first employee at Gradely Technologies, driving its expansion from a single subject ed tech platform to 15 subjects across multiple curricula. For those in tech, you will understand this. If you don't have an overview of, unfortunately, this is not what this particular episode is about. If not, would have broken it down a bit. But with my small knowledge, I already know what this means. 15 across multiple curricula. A lawyer by training and heavily into tech. Jeez, these lawyers these days are just going into many things. That's what I've seen. An avid reader, Odunmolorun brings over a decade experience in business growth, operations, and fintech innovation to every venture that he leads. It's very, very clear. I mean, everything I've read today from this bio, this really short, and this is a short bio, shows how much, he's scaled up. I'm really, really grateful and glad to have you on the show, Mr. Odu. Thank you so much for honoring us here at Makamba Podcast. I know you have an extremely busy schedule, but you obliged me as I was stressing your life. Just trying to get a few things from you. thank you so much for coming, and for gracing us on the Makamba podcast. So we don't want to waste too much time, I want to quickly start with some opening with you, I'd like you to take us back to the very beginning. How did your entrepreneurship journey start? What was your first venture like? And what did experience teach you about yourself?
All right. Once again, I'm very glad to be here.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for the opportunity as well. All right. So my entrepreneurship journey started, as far as I can remember, maybe when I was 16.
Oh wow, that's some time.
Yeah. So at 16, I was just getting out of secondary school at the time, and I wanted to just get a job. I just thought I should get a job. I remember my parents were like, no, I need to stay at home and go and read for post-UTME and stuff like that. But I sneaked out one day and I got a job in a bakery.
Oh, wow. You used to bake?
I think, no. So I was supposed to be like like an apprentice.
Oh.
The guy that helps the baker. We would knead the dough and all of that.
Yes, so, I know that. Yeah.
And I did that, and I think within maybe about 4 to 6 weeks, the owner of the bakery just thought I was good enough to become the manager of the bakery. And that was my first time having to manage, people, a team, or like control. Because within that 6 weeks period, I had worked in the bakery. I had worked in sales, where we would go out and actually sell the bread. Built fantastic relationships with people at the time, and then I started also managing accounting at some point. And so I think maybe after some time the man just thought, look, this guy can handle this thing, and so he just handed it over to me. Yeah, he was like my family pastor at the time. Yeah, I was 16. He was my family pastor at the time.
Okay.
And so I think that was my first experience dealing with different parts of a business, because now as the manager of the bakery, I have to be concerned about the quantity of the sugar, quantity of water, the grinding, and then the sales,
nitty-gritty details.
Exactly. And then the different channels, locations where the bread is going. Where should we take 1,000 pieces? Where should we take 500? I didn't understand all of this from the way I think about it now, because today we talk about opening new markets. We talk about margins. We talk about return on investment. I didn't know all of those. It was just basic. So I think that was my very first experience, and I think what it taught me about myself is that I am actually valuable. Like I can contribute. It was very special to me that I can do something that many people will be happy about, and that has the capacity to impact a lot of people. So I think that was my very first experience with
entrepreneurship. So that was like
it wasn't my business anyway.
Yes. So what was your first venture like?
Okay.
What did that experience teach you? Your very first venture.
Okay. Very interesting. I think my very first venture was selling handbags in University of Lagos.
You've done quite a bit. You have quite a bit.
I think that was my very first venture. So should I just speak to the tech, or should I talk about that?
Please. It's important because we're talking evolving here.
Yes.
So if you kind of relate it to what we're talking about
today,
exactly. So we're looking at a serial entrepreneurship, because the bakery was an entrepreneurship moment for you, even if you were 16.
It was. So as an undergraduate in the University of Lagos, I started, I used to import bags for ladies. It was from Cotonou. So when I say import, it wasn't like China or anything. I used to bring them in from Cotonou and I've sold
Cotonou was our China back in the day.
You are very correct. People used to bring in a lot of things, including turkey and
everything from Cotonou, yes.
Yeah, so I used to sell bags. Went on to set up a tutorial on campus. Then I think my first real venture where I now started to understand what entrepreneurship is was when I launched my recycling company. So I used to have a recycling company called Dazzle Cycle. I was in 200 level at the time. And
you were busy.
I was a very busy student. And I raised, that was my first time with raising capital as well.
Wow.
So I raised
at 200 level.
Yeah. Great. I raised 200,000 naira. It was a lot of money for me at the time. So yeah, it was I just thought I could sit down and think about solving a problem. I could put resources together and end up solving that problem and also make money, out of it. It was a very humbling experience.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because um I lecture at Rome Business School, and one of the courses I lecture is entrepreneurship, startup, business modeling, and innovation. And what I usually would say is you can't be an entrepreneur if you're not solving a problem. You have to come into the marketplace with a mindset of a problem solver. If you just walk in with the mindset of you want to make money, it's DOA already. So I like the fact that you mentioned the fact that you come into the space with the mindset that you are going to solve a problem. And that just dovetails into my next question. Many people have business ideas, that they never act on, So I would like to ask you, because you get the business idea, you act on it. You get a business idea, you act on it. I mean, you brought bags, you've done a recycling company, What do you think separates those who just dream from those who actually start? And what personal qualities, or mindset shifts helps you to push yourself past fear and uncertainty, to just keep going, launching again and again and again.
So I get this question a lot.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah.
So maybe now you tell Makamba audience something.
I get the question a lot, and one of the things I learned from the CEO of a multinational is that he only hires people that are hungry.
Oh, I hear that a lot.
And that's very critical.
Very critical.
In other words, he's looking for people that have a reason to go. Interesting. I think this was actually something I heard from Dr. Bill Winston yesterday in a private, business meeting he had with people at JBS. And he wants to hire people that are hungry, and one of the ways to identify them is people that just have a reason to want to do something. So he's looking for people that are recently married and they're just having kids, and then they need to provide for the family and things like that. Now, how does that answer your question? For me personally, I really didn't have a choice, because when I think about it, I'm wondering, if you don't act on like the idea that you have, what alternative do you have, right? So the problem is maybe people have too many alternatives, and those alternatives are holding them back from, doing the actual thing that they really want to do. What pushes me is really just the desire to solve problems and just help people personally, right? I love people a lot. One of the things I like to say is, my entrepreneur friends would laugh at me when I say this, I actually like paying salaries.
Ah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I never heard anybody actually say that
Yeah,
before.
I actually like
this
paying
is kind of
salaries.
new, and you heard it on Makamba. You heard this on Makamba.
I actually
Wow,
like paying
nice.
salaries because I genuinely love the idea of impacting people. I genuinely love the idea of helping other people, meet their own needs. So that drives me. It keeps driving me even till date. At Clip Technologies, in 1 year we had grown to, I think we had about 17 employees, and we had employees. It became very emotional for me when I realized that we have employees that are now having kids, and so we're paying
I can
salaries,
imagine.
and they're paying their kids' school fees and stuff.
Yes.
So it's,
that definitely
for me,
will bring
that's
some emotion.
fulfilling. I think that's one of the things that keeps me going.
Wow.
Just the need to serve.
Wow.
other
That
people.
just kind of made me all very mushy right now, but also the fact that you know that you are also responsible for other people's destinies.
Yeah.
And the more you're launching and relaunching, you have at the back of your mind that you're carrying some other people along, and together with your vision, you are solving whatever problems that need to be solved as at the time. And that is so, and just made me, when you were talking just now, just made me, when I was finally zeroing out of 9 to 5, because I was one of those people who always knew that I was not going to wait until the supposed retirement age, of Nigeria to zero out, that at a certain time, I love 9 to 5. I, just like you, that loves paying salaries, I loved the corporate world, you understand? And in between that, I'd ventured into one or two entrepreneurial moves. but I couldn't get myself out. But then again, when I heard the word hungry, reminded me telling myself that I'm hungry to do so many other things outside of, the entrepreneurship that I was doing, which meant I was working with companies and all that, and then it pushed. So when I came out, a dream I've always had, idea and not acting on it, which was to have my own podcast and bring people like you, Mr. Odun, to come tell us, what you're telling us today, was something I knew I needed to act on fast and not allow it to go now. And that's how Makamba was birthed, and so I thank you. I kind of resonate with you with this last one. So let's talk about the art of scaling now. Scaling is often, as I say, harder than starting. So it's easy to just go and start, but when it gets to that point, and I think I'm at that point with one of my other ventures right now. And I think you and I have kind of had a conversation where I said, you know what, I'm kind of stuck now. How am I scaling that other venture? Yes. So can you walk, us through how you can approach scaling? Maybe you can use one of your ventures if you have to. What kind of mindset changes are critical, when you want to approach that scaling point? What key lessons, have you learned both from successes and mistakes along the way? Because a lot of people, they get the mistakes, but they jettison the mistakes. Don't realize. I think I grew up, because of the way I grew up with parents who told me that your mistakes and your successes they go together. So I've grown up in that kind of environment, you understand? So can you talk us through that,
So I had talked about my early experience with entrepreneurship, and it really borders on traditional business, right? So I talked about the bakery, I talked about the bags, I talked about, I had a few other traditional businesses.
I'm not going to doubt that.
Now, there were a few other things. Now, the idea of scaling is really what technology is about, and that's why I'm trying to bridge that gap. Scaling is what actually got me into technology, because I got out of school and then I started asking myself, what will I do today that will keep me relevant in the next 30 to 50 years? Now, that thing has to be accessible, but it's not obvious to most people, right? And I think this was 2015, 2016. I went online, I started doing all this research, and then technology just kept popping up. So it has to be something in technology. Meanwhile, I studied law.
Yes.
The best I could do with my laptop at the time was Microsoft Word, watch movies. I don't think I had anything to do with Excel by the time I was done with school. So I got into technology, and that's where I started learning this thing about scaling. Essentially, I think one of the, and I think I should just say this here, right? One of the mistakes people do when they hear about technology is that they think that technology is a business. It's not. It's an enhancer.
An enhancer.
Essentially.
Thank you
it's
for
very
putting
critical
this out there.
Yeah, because, a lot of young people, they try to do a tech startup, and then, very quickly the company doesn't exist anymore because there was no business.
And a lot is happening like that.
Yeah, because there was no business in the first place. So it's important to understand that it is first a business. Technology is a tool that you use to enhance or scale the business. I'll give some examples. I'll start with Clip Technologies. So we've given out some of the numbers. We started, and I think within 3 months we're doing $5 million transaction volume every month. Within a year, we had done easily over about $50 million in transaction volume. Now,
I told you, Makamba, the question is dollars. We are talking here. We're not doing naira.
The question is, how did that happen? It's the power of scale. Now, you can, depending on the business you're in, all you need to do when you're thinking about scale is really just sit back and rethink the activities that are involved in the business and figure out how do you 10x, 50x, whatever your goal is, 100x your results without necessarily increasing the input. Right? And that's
how does that work?
Yeah, so I'll tell you.
Yes, please.
And again, that's the power of technology. So for Clip, for example, we help organizations to do certain types of payments, specifically using crypto. So USDT, stablecoins powered international payments. Now, the way these things is done today is you typically maybe go to an exchange, you buy stable coins, and then you would typically require a lot of people to buy and sell stable coins for you to get a huge amount of money. So take, for example, you need $1 million, right? You need to trade with so many people selling you 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. And so you need, it's like, the hedge fund of those days where you have a lot of people on the trading desk, crunching numbers.
Yes.
And what we have done is to create a technology that typically does the job of like 100 people and gets out the results.
So it's more smart work.
Exactly. That gets out the results.
It's more smart work.
Now that's one example of scaling. I'll give you a more traditional example. At my stash, for example, I was responsible for growth. And so, we've had the numbers, went from 50 to 30,000 in 6 months. How did we do that? We basically, started with a group of people. I think we had our first 100 customers, and then the next goal was do the next 1,000 customers. How do I do that? I think I had maybe about 2 weeks or 3 weeks to deliver on that number. So what I did was I looked at these 100 customers, trained maybe about 20 of them, and then got them to become ambassadors for the company, right? Of course, they were, properly rewarded. Then I took, the model worked. I think we went from that 100 to about 2,000 within maybe 2 to 3 weeks. And I said, this model is working. We had tested it. And then the next thing I did was I took that model and then began to plant it across universities in Nigeria. So I'll go to a university, I'll spend a week or two, train, I would speak with maybe the student union, I would get a few people, train them. Of course, there's a technology system that allows us to track the results. And then we were just training a few people and those guys kept, reproducing the results. So it wasn't really me that acquired the customers. What I did was build a system.
Yeah, a system. So the rippling effect.
Yeah.
So it was more like a train the trainer thing, and then it just has a rippling effect of increasing.
Exactly.
So it became a game of numbers.
Exactly. And I had the opportunity to travel across multiple cities within a short period of time to just keep doing the same thing.
Keep doing the same thing.
And that was how we achieved that.
Well, so I'm learning a lot, and I hope the Makamba audience is learning a lot, because I've always struggled with a bit of scaling, and I think I just suddenly had like an epiphany, like some veil just fell off my eyes right now as you were talking about the numbers, and you just need a small hub, and then it just crystallizes into great numbers, another small hub. Thank you, Mr. Odun, for sharing it. I think you just broke some ice in me just right now. That was really nice. Thank you so much. I hope as we're listening to this, someone is actually writing. The good thing about the Makamba podcast is that I get to see this again. You also would get to see it when you subscribe, when you watch this, and of course share with someone else. So I'm just going to move over to the starting over part. So you've had to build and scale and then start again. So what fuels your ability to begin anew? There must be just something that pushes you. How do you decide what lessons you carry forward to, or what lessons to leave behind, or what lessons to personally decide to say, I'm drawing the line between, resilience, between knowing when to pivot or when to walk away? What actually, what's that driving force?
I think I mentioned one of the driving forces, which is just my own, desire to serve, and help and solve problems. Beyond that, I think it's very important to just, as a human being, desire to live for something. Think legacy, think beyond yourself.
Legacy.
It's critical. I think that many times when people quit or give up, it could just be that maybe they are not dreaming big enough. Maybe there is nothing that they are actually going after or chasing that is just really bigger than them. I think that's important. And that thing can be anything for anybody. It could be family, for some people. It could be making an impact. It could be making an impact in a particular industry, right? For me, for example, I love Nigeria. I had
Wow.
2 unique opportunities to travel out of Nigeria.
I'm so happy to hear someone say this.
I'm absolutely in love with Nigeria. I went for Model United Nations as an undergraduate. I think I was in 300 level at the time, represented University of Lagos, NMUN New York, and then NMUN Washington DC.
Wow.
My
Great
pastor,
opportunities.
Yeah, my pastor paid my airfare that year. And when I was in the US, he called me and asked me, he said, "Unu, you're a very intelligent young man. Nigeria is not."
Nigeria is at this particular point in time.
Yeah, you're going places. Nigeria is not really the best. Just tell me, which country in the world do you want to go to? And then I'll get the general overseer to pay for it.
Wow, pastor.
Yeah.
We want to stay.
And I told him that I wanted to come back to Nigeria. I don't know if he has gotten over that. Maybe now he has.
In the spirit of the jackpot and all that.
Yeah, and I'm so in love with Nigeria. So I have a very
this
deep,
is lovely music to my ears.
Yeah, I have a very deep passion, desire to see Nigeria work. And I think that just
Makes
like
us too.
every other great countries, like America, for example, is built by entrepreneurs.
True.
And so I feel like I'm contributing significantly when I pay salaries. I feel like I'm contributing significantly when I pay
Preach.
taxes, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's something that drives me. Now
drives you.
speaking to like lessons, how to determine what lessons to go forward with, what to drop. It's interesting. I've had a lot of interesting experiences. I think the result speaks for itself, right? So I'm very experimental when I'm trying to get into a business. I'll share a quick example. When I started, I have a company called Hiyalo. We give out loans to people that want to pay their rent. And I remember when I started the business, what I typically did was, I'm one of those guys that would usually start from scratch. It's like when I remember when we exited from my stash, I took some of the money I made, bought some things, stashed up the rest, and I went back to zero. So that's something I do. Maybe that also answers the question of what drives me.
What drives you?
I actually put myself back in a position where I usually would not have any money. So I'll be in a place where I need to raise money all over again or figure out a way to earn. I actually do that by myself intentionally. So I could take my money and go and buy properties or buy shares, and then I'll just leave maybe 100K in my account. I've done it like twice.
Wow.
Yeah, I could go from like millions back to 100K
Back
and
to
say,
100.
start all over again. Because I think making money is also important to me. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, so I have to always look at the bottom line, right? So not having money is some fear, and it could also be a fuel that would.
So it depends on the perspective with which you look at it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel that.
So yeah, I was talking about Hiyalo.
Yeah.
And what I did was I created a spreadsheet, and I wanted to give out loans to people that wanted to pay their rent. So we're trying to do like this pay small thing for house rent. And then I created this spreadsheet. I took a loan from a financial institution. I gave out that loan to somebody else. I did that like 5 times on my own credit history. Started collecting the money back. Then I went to a bank with that transaction history and said, look, I have customers that want loans, and the bank signed $25,000 to the company, and that's how the company started.
Whoa, for real?
Yeah, with 0 naira. So now I know that I can start. Most of the time when people say, oh, you need capital or you need money, most of the time you just need sense.
You just need sense. You just need to borrow yourself some sense.
Yeah, you just really need, So yeah, when something that you do, and I told that story to just show that I do some experiments before jumping into a venture,
it.
right? And those experiments help you to determine what to drop, sometimes what to move forward with. Now, also in a situation of failure, and failure in this case typically means, you get into a business and it doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
I used to have a cashew I used to have a cashew business.
It's going to take a
one
whole
time.
year to unpack you.
Yeah, I used
It's
to
going
have
to
a
take a
cashew,
whole year to unpack you.
cashew
Mr. Odu.
business in Odunmolorun and the Edo State. So I had a warehouse in Odunmolorun, I had another in Edo State.
Wow.
I used to travel quite a bit. But the business died in less than a year. I lost, I think, about 5 or 6 million naira, because it was still supposed to be an experiment at that point. But of course, I learned a lot of things. For example, I learned the importance of always having signed contracts, in that particular venture.
Yeah, that venture.
And I know that I'm not going to get into, partnership or stuff without doing that, right? So there are a few other things that, you learn, but I think the result is what really determines what you move forward with and what you hold back.
Wow. That's a lot. My Makamba audience, I mean, is this resonating with you? Because it is with me. It almost feels like I'm in some masterclass, and I did learn a couple of things that, especially the last bit where you said, you know what, take those failures and understand. But I think what it was more important to me was when you said you test the waters first.
Yeah.
So I just want to just ask, very briefly, that must you test the waters for every idea you want to put down?
That's a very good question.
Yes, I needed to ask that. Must you test the waters?
That's a very good question. There is no must. Honestly, there are no hard and fast rules to these things, right? To a very large extent, is a function of so many things. It's a function of your gut. One of the things that a good and successful entrepreneur will hone in themselves is the ability to make gut decisions. So it's very, very critical. It's the ability. Sometimes, I didn't test ventures at every point in time. For Clip Technologies, for example, I didn't test anything. I had my co-founder and partner walked up to me and is like, hey, I want to build this crypto bank thing. I was building something in loans, and I, had demonstrated that I could raise capital. I think with Hiyalo we raised about $50,000. With Clip we raised over 200K. With my stash over 200K. So it's like you have some network. You could raise capital. Join me. Let's build this thing. I know the guy. We had done some work together on campus. I trust him. I jumped into it. I think within the first 2 weeks of just having the first conversation, we closed our first $50,000 deal, and then we just started the business and we went in. So you don't always have to.
You don't always have to.
You really just need to consider what your circumstances are at every point in time. For example, if you're starting a podcast, for example, and you know that you have what it takes to move it forward. You've seen enough people demonstrate that it can be successful. You can jump in, right? It's as simple as that. So it's really about you evaluating what resources are available to you at every point in time. So yeah, there is really no must.
So gut feeling plays a really I think I agree with you on that one, because going on the two ventures that I went in, it was purely guts. Because it was like, okay, so I'm out of 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And I'm obviously not going to be sitting in one place because I've never really sat in a place. So what am I going to do? What are my skills? What skills do I have? What are my propensities and capacities?
Yeah.
What can I do with those skills?
Yeah.
And then what else can I, bring on board to add to what I have already, and then get into it, and that was it.
Yeah.
I just woke up and I'm like, you know what, I'm doing
this. Yeah.
And it was gut feeling. I so far so good. I don't think I have regrets.
For Hiyalo, I wanted to pay my rent at the time, and I didn't have the full money. That's how the company started.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I wanted to pay my rent. I didn't have the complete money. Why isn't there like somebody who is helping people pay monthly? Wow. And then I interestingly, I was in the office that day. I was in my mentor's office actually, and then I just told him, I have this idea. I could help people pay their rent monthly. He's like, oh really? That's interesting. How much do you need? I'm going to invest.
Get the idea, be in the right environment.
And I just ran with it, and the company still exists today.
Wow.
So amazing. Gut feeling, critical ability to identify
problems,
needs. Yeah. For Clip, my partner had been getting paid in stable coins, USDT, for years. You know, he worked with Patricia, worked with a few of these other crypto companies, and so he had been getting paid in USDT. And then one time he wanted to travel abroad. The embassy asked him to bring history of his income. This guy was earning like what, maybe $8,000 a month, but the money was coming in crypto. So there is no financial record that he's as rich as he's claiming that he is. That was how the company started. And he's like, you know what? Let's build a bank on top of the blockchain that allows people that earn in crypto have financial records.
Financial records, history.
Yeah, that's it.
So what I'm taking out
Convert
of
your pain into
this particular conversation
opportunities.
is you need to be very alert to the opportunities that are out there.
Yeah.
Key into it and act on it as fast as you possibly can.
Yeah. Every pain that you experience is a potential opportunity.
Hence the need why they call them pain points.
Yes.
True that. I'm taking that home.
Yeah.
So let's look at resilience, failure and lessons, failure is part of an entrepreneur's journey. I mean, if you don't have failure, then hey, how? You have to tell me, I was very recently going through the famous book that is existing right now that everyone seems to be reading, and I'm sure you know which book I'm talking about. Femi Otedola's book. Yes, exactly. Because everybody just seems to be reading it, and everybody just feels, oh, it's an entrepreneur's dream book or something. I have read a bit of it, and it's not bad at all. I'm kind of reading it in little portions, taking out what I need and what I really do not need. So failure obviously is, is part of the journey. So can you share an experience of a setback, or failure that shaped you the most? One that shaped you the most, how you processed it, and how it influenced the way you approach business, and life today.
Okay.
Because you are
I got plenty. I've got plenty of those experiences.
Yeah,
but I'll share one.
Please.
I'll share one. I think, and it's interesting, because it's actually recent.
Recent.
Yeah, it's recent. It's we had an incident because we're in financial services. One of the risks in financial services is fraud. Right. So we had an incident where we're trying to make payment to someone and then made payment to the wrong account. Long story short, we're defrauded of I think about $40,000, something like that.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that was a difficult time.
I can only imagine.
That was a difficult time. We had to rethink the entire business because we're in that big yet, it's like, so we had to rethink the entire business. We had to think about how do we cut costs for us to stay alive. How do we go after solving this fraud issue? Investigate how did it even happen? How do we prevent it? What loopholes exist in the technology? It was a period where we had to do a lot of reflecting. And I think that if you say how did that shape me? It's really just no longer double checking but triple checking everything.
I can imagine.
Right?
Hey,
yes.
Stop. I need to look at this like 10 times.
Yeah. It's basically just getting a little bit more into the details. Like they say, the devil is in the details.
Devil is in the details. Yeah.
Getting a little bit more into the details and ensuring that the team is as much into ensuring that you as an entrepreneur, you are in the details even as your company grows. There's really never a time where you let it all go. Ensure that like the most critical part of the product, technology, right? So the most critical part of the product, you have your eyes on it at every point in time. So that's a setback, but it has really just helped us to understand how to build better and how to, prevent, such occurrences. But you know what? I think it was last week or so, I was reading about one of the biggest crypto banks in the world right now. They are in the UK. And yeah, because I'm trying to figure out like, okay, what can I learn from these guys? So I went on Wikipedia and I'm looking at how much money they've lost to fraud. I'm like, okay, no, relax, yeah.
You're not there
Yeah,
yet.
you're
not there yet.
Yeah,
You
you're
haven't
not
done
alone
that
here.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah,
Oh wow.
that was a big deal for us.
That I can imagine. And so right now I'm sure you've put a lot of checks and balances in.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. So thank you for sharing that, because I'm sure someone out there is saying, I only lost like 2 million, 3 million.
When I was
and here
in
is
final
somebody
year,
losing
when I
$35,000
was
to
in-
$40,000.
When I was in final year, I lost 12 million.
Wow.
13 million. I thought I was going to die. That was the end of the world. Now I can't survive again. But here we are.
Here you are. Yes, here you are.
So yeah, it's
Awesome.
part of the process, it's
Yes,
part of the journey.
Yes, part of the journey. Okay, so I'm going to ask for aspiring serial entrepreneurs, that are listening right now, because there are so many, especially in this current generation.
Yeah.
They're just moving from one thing into the other. So it doesn't work, they drop, they move, it doesn't work. What are 3 non-negotiable mindset shifts, that they need to embrace? And if you could give your younger entrepreneurial self one piece of advice, what would that be?
So I think first of all, it's important to understand what the idea of a serial entrepreneur is. I think it is often abused. I am a preacher of focus. I think it's very important. People say things like, "Oh, Dangote has sugar, he has oil, he has this one, he has that one." Relax. It's not. Many times what we see on camera is really not all of the story. And in reality, it's not possible to give you all of the story, in one sitting or even in 10 sittings. Sometimes, we miss out some things, we forget some things, and some things are just intentionally withheld, right? So it's very important that if you want to be an entrepreneur, the ability to understand curves, right? So I think first of all, it's important that you understand that focusing on one business is hard enough. Like building a business is tough. Building a business is painful. Is excruciating. There's this thing Elon Musk says where he says that entrepreneurship is like climbing up to a very high mountain, jumping off the mountain while eating glass.
Elon Musk can be extra.
It can be extra, but it is. I mean, it makes sense for him to be extra when you think about the scale and the size of the things that he's doing. Right? You can imagine how painful that would be to put a rocket together and blow billions and billions of dollars, year in, year out. So, speaking to mindset shifts, I just wanted to put it out there. Like, it's important that you learn to focus, right? Try as much as possible not to spread yourself too thin. Maybe don't do more than 2 at a time. Best case scenario, do 1. But in our climate, in our environment, sometimes it's almost inevitable, especially for people who don't have things to fall back on. We talk about these billionaires and all these successful entrepreneurs. We just mentioned Femi Atedola. The book also revealed to us that, he had a rich dad. And there's so many stories like that, Mark Zuckerberg. And what that does when you have that leverage is that it helps you to unshackle from the need to get rich quick, the need to survive. You're not thinking survival. Yeah. It's easier to think impact when you're not thinking survival. Yes. So you can really think about change and get into the details of how can I connect the world and then build Facebook out of that, and think about, how can I, build supermarkets online and then build Amazon out of that, because you are not worried about what you're going to eat. But when you're worried about what you're going to eat, it makes sense, because sometimes you're trying to start this business. This is bringing some money. You're surviving.
But there's quite a lot of this happening right now.
It's the reality.
We have fewer people thinking legacy than thinking impact.
Yeah, I think it's the reality of our environment. I don't think it's an indictment on the people.
Okay. Looking at it differently now.
Yeah, I don't think it's an indictment on the people. I think sometimes it's just the reality of the fact that there is this 22-year-old, 23-year-old guy who paid his way through school. This is my story, by the way. This is 22, 23, paid his way through school. He's out of school now. He's trying to, find his feet. He's also sometimes even trying to support other people, in the family. It can be tough. So when you have to survive, you struggle to think about impact. And so that's the reality. Now, when you have to be a serial entrepreneur, you've got to understand that in the world we live in today, there's some guy in China, in India, in South Africa, because it's a global village now. Everybody's on Instagram, everybody's on Twitter, who is trying to box you, who is in the same space that you're playing. So it's really just a function of understanding that, look, whatever it is that has to be done for you to win within the boundaries of law and morals,
as long as it's legal,
has to be done. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of pain. It's a lot of innovation. That's critical. And innovation, again, doesn't have to be you coming up with Paystack or Flutterwave, right? It could just be finding a better way to package the chin-chin, or figuring out a new recipe that makes it more enjoyable for people.
Which is what I've seen happening a lot now. So we have a lot of our people who now have gone on all these Titan shows and all those who have only just taken what we were taking as a joke here, and all they've done is just to some sort of improving and then packaging it in ways that are visually appealing to the eyes.
100%.
And before you know it, they have raised funds that is hitting in the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah. This morning I was explaining to someone the evolution of crypto, like how because she was asking me how did I get into crypto? What's crypto? And I just simply said, look, there's money, there's cash. Some people started printing this cash. They realized that it's dangerous to keep this cash. If you want to move ₦1 billion, for example, from one location to another, it's dangerous. It can be stolen. So they said, okay, let's invent electronic, right? So they started sending the money. So now the cash can be stockpiled in one location, and people can be moving the money just by sending stuff over the phone. And then somebody looked at that, where that stopped, and says, look, what if we create a system that is decentralized? Because money is centralized, central bank and all of that. And then, that's innovation. It's really just looking at what you have and thinking about how can I improve on it.
Better.
Yeah, it's as simple as that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Wow. So as we close right now, it's so interesting. I wish we could just continue, but sadly, we have to bring this to a close at some point. So how would you, if you had to sum up in one phrase, what defines, and you talked about it earlier, but, just so that someone who missed it can actually, hear this clearly. If you could sum up in one phrase what defines the serial entrepreneur's mindset for you, what would it be, And if it's okay for you also, how can listeners connect, with you and your journey? Because trust me, I personally already know that this is going to be an explosive episode because, when we are talking serial entrepreneurship journey and all that, it resonates with a lot of people. And like you said, especially in our climate right now, because this is what a lot of people are doing. So if you could sum it up, that mindset, what would it be? And, how can the audience, also connect with you, so that they could learn more. I personally, I've already told you that I'm one of your students already. So I'm just putting it out there in the public.
So, one of the things that we do in my company is we're very big on ensuring that people not only love their job, but they find the job as an opportunity for growth.
Fantastic.
Right? It's very, very
I hope
critical.
some entrepreneurs are listening, to this right now, because this statement Mr. Odun made is very, very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very critical. Like, there's never been a time when, I have people work with me and want to stop. Not once.
Oh, wow. That is so...
Including...
So you don't have all the staff attrition.
No.
And
including periods when we were struggling. Because... maybe that should have been my humble experience. Including periods when, we're struggling, we couldn't afford to pay salaries. We had times when we went months, 3 months, when we couldn't pay salaries, and
Wow.
employees would come and say, "Boss, we are here. We're not going
wow.
anywhere.
Wow.
We know that you are trying to raise the capital. We will just ensure that we're delivering. Don't think about us."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is so
And I think that is possible
humbling to
the-
hear.
the with the kind of environment that you create in the
Yes.
company. It's a place where people just really love to come to work. First, they feel like they are part of something significant.
Not many businesses are building places where people would like to come to work.
Yeah, I agree. In Nigeria, it's tough.
Not many.
I agree. So yeah, I mean, you've got to be able to learn how to manage people and relate with people. That's critical as a serial entrepreneur because you need people in these businesses. That's very important. That's the critical one. Being able to understand how to hire people and how to deal with them in a way that makes them feel important. So they want to work for you,
Yes.
right? Not like you're trying to
You're
make them
trying
work
to-
for you
yeah.
because you're paying some money. I think that's a very critical part of entrepreneurship. I also think learning to focus on the most important things, because this means that because you have 24 hours with the same guy who has one job or who has only one business that is running, right? So you've got to understand that every single day you've got to be a person of noise. A person of signal. I learned this from one of my mentors who talks about signal and noise.
And noise.
Yeah, signal, he would say, what's the name of this guy? I think Kevin O'Leary or something. I think he would say that a person of signal is someone who understands how to avoid distraction. And he said in his experience, he's met two people who are, he said Steve Jobs, he used to work with Steve Jobs, this guy. And he said Steve Jobs was, I think he said 80% signal and 20% noise. And he said Elon Musk is,
I think that would be correct.
he said Elon Musk is 100% signal.
Oh, he is.
No time for BS. If you're going to, meet with him, he's got to be on time. And if I follow the guy a lot. So there's this particular interview he did one time. I can't remember the interviewer, where when it was time on set and it was live, he was telling the guy that this interview ends at this time. So you don't. So I think that's something that's critical, especially for serial entrepreneurs, right? Is that you're a person of signal, meaning that you understand exactly at the beginning of the day what needs to get done. And only those things get done, right? Because it's very easy to get distracted. It's very
Especially in
easy
this
for
climate.
different things to come up. So it's so important that every day, as a serial entrepreneur, as even an entrepreneur, is that you're clear what needs to get done today. And then you focus on ensuring that only those things get done. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. What a conversation. Oof. Despite the fact that, we're sitting in a cold environment, I mean, my head is swinging, and I'm like, but just before I take out my outro, I'm just going to say, Mr. Odu, I'm bringing you back. I'm definitely bringing you back.
It's my
because
pleasure.
There is so much to unpack from you. And I know that, the audience is definitely, because Makamba is very big up on paying attention to feedback from the audience.
Yeah.
Very big up on that. So sometimes the audience literally are audience who would, leave their reviews.
Yeah.
But then some other audience will literally reach out directly and go, bring this person back.
Yeah.
I don't know how you want to do it, but bring this person back.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact, and I'm saying it ahead of time, that's what this episode is going to be. It's going to be bring him back. There's so much he still needs to impact. And they'll just say, for this particular area, just let him come and discuss this particular area. So I'm saying it on air now. And I think I'm speaking for all the Makamba community, that Mr. Odu is coming back. I can make that promise. It's been an amazing conversation, and I want to say a big thank you, Mr. Odu, for making up time to come. Today reminded us that, entrepreneurship isn't just about ideas and investments, it's about mindset. Because we talked a lot about that today, and the courage to start, the wisdom to scale, because you have to trust your gut on certain things, and the resilience to start again, even when you hit, ground zero. As long as life and business demands it, the need to start again, So if I'm going to say to my audience today that or my community, as I call them, the Makamba community, that if you take nothing else out from this episode, remember this: failure is not final. Mr. Odun has demonstrated in more ways than none. And I'm sure if we had so much time, he could talk about God knows how many of this he has worked through. And every ending can be the soil for a new beginning. I like the word that he used. He kept using the word refuel. So it can either break you down or refuel you. And I think that's a word I'm going to, try and imbibe in my own, So it's mindset that fuels, serial entrepreneurs. That's what it is. And it's a mindset that you must carry, emphasis on carry into every area of your life. So it's not just within, the entrepreneurship space. It's how you handle the people who work with you, how you handle the products that, or service that you're giving, So somebody might say, oh, this is all about service. No, also the products, because, another part of my life is consulting as well. And when I'm talking to small businesses or MSMEs, and I'm telling them that, it's a mindset thing. I was talking about a business friend of mine she does wellness products, all these wellness foods and all that. And I was saying to her that you have like 8 products that you're running, and you're wondering where is the revenue. So we sat down and I'm a data person. So we sat down and we ran did the data and realized that only 2 products out of the 8
we're making money.
Exactly.
Story
was
of my
actually
life.
giving her the revenue and the profit.
Yeah.
So we said, what? Okay, you can't jettison the remaining 6 because you've already put quite a bit of resources in there and you still have stock. You understand? So there's a need to now look at these 2 and see how we can delve into strategies that can continue to boost these 2 so that these 2 can continue to generate. Then now look at strategies on how to boost the remaining 6 and try and bring them up to that level. So at every point in time, it's a mindset thing. It's not like you said, not necessarily the person, but the people. So a huge thank you to you, Mr. Odun, for sharing your story, your insight with us today. And again, if you would like to connect with him, check out the links, in our notes. And I'll be able to share that with you, with Mr. Odun's permission.
Yeah.
And like we always do on Makamba, we do not like to go it's a lot of work to bring our guests, as busy as our guest is. So we don't always like to leave, our guests to just come and go. We like to leave a piece of Makamba with our guests. And I'd like to say, Mr. Odun, that's a piece of Makamba we're leaving with you. And we'd like to say thank you so very much for making up time to come and for talking to us on, the serial entrepreneurship journey, scaling, starting, scaling and starting again. Thank you so much. And we look forward to having you back on Makamba again. So this has been Makamba Unfiltered Conversations. As we always say on Makamba, keep it raw, keep it real, keep it unfiltered. Watch out for this episode when it airs. Leave your reviews, subscribe, share with somebody. And if it resonates with you, reach out to us and tag us on social media. Thank you so much for having us today, and we look forward to the next episode.